Why are company records so important for you as a director? Well, the reason is because company records are your safety valve, if you like, in relation to your dealings with the company. Bear in mind that a director is trustee of the company's assets. The company is a separate legal entity, separate legal person from the director. The company is not the director, and the director is not the company. Any suggestion to that effect is completely absurd. Okay, the fact that the director may own the company as shareholder is utterly irrelevant. Absolutely, utterly, and totally irrelevant. You cannot have a situation where a company and a director are the same. It's just absolutely nonsensical. Now, as far as company records are concerned, bear in mind, one of the things that a company will do is it will incur expenditure to enable it to trade. Virtually impossible unless you are simply, even if you're a consultancy company, you're going to incur expenses. Now, in order to justify the expenditure of the company, you are going to need to keep records. You're going to need to keep a listing of the payments through the bank account, the purpose behind the payments, and the invoices and receipts that support the payments. And you're going to have to do this for various reasons. You're going to have to do it for company law reasons, and you're going to have to do it for VAT reasons if you're registered for VAT. And fundamentally, to safeguard you as a director, you're going to have to do it so that you can justify the payments out of the company's funds and bank account to whoever and whatever you make the payments to. Fundamental. There's no escaping this. And bear in mind one thing, that if it ever comes to it at some point in the future that somebody, whether it's a liquidator, whether it's the Insolvency Service, whether it's the court, whether it's another shareholder, whether it's another director, it doesn't matter. If somebody, we've already seen examples, albeit in totally different situation, where the Scottish National Party has had to account through one of its former leaders, chairman, whatever, for money that was spent, and whether that money was spent correctly. The same kind of principles apply in relation to a limited company. The fact that the numbers may be smaller doesn't make any difference whatsoever. Company director is going to have to keep records to demonstrate the payments, because if you don't, and if there is a question, you are not going to be able to turn round to people and say, oh, well, if the records had been kept a little bit better, I might have been able to justify the payments better. That is a completely nonsensical argument, and it was completely rubbished in the case of Toon versus Robbins, which was albeit subject to an appeal, but nevertheless, the judge, as he was known, Mr. Justice Norris, turned round and basically made the very valid and sensible point that directors cannot be heard to say our record keeping was so bad that you should assume in our favour. Completely the reverse is the case. The burden is on the director to justify the payments out of the company's bank account. It is not the requirement for the person who is challenging the payments or querying the payments to be able to turn round to the director and say, this is the reason why we are challenging the director. If the payment can be shown to have been made, whether it's by the liquidator who's making the allegation, whether it's the Insolvency Service, whether it's a fellow shareholder, director, whatever, it is going to be the person who receives that payment or who makes that payment who is going to have to be able to justify it. It's going to be particularly relevant if that person receives the money out of the company, amongst other things, but it still will also apply to payments that they make for the benefit of whoever through the company's bank account. Questions, queries, concerns, give us a shout. We know Insolvency inside out.